Hello from my heart, everybody. Welcome
Love
to
Talk Radio.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Transitions to Transformation Radio. This is your host, Reverend Sue, and I have my special guest, Numerologist Todd Patrick Curran, here tonight with me. And I'm just waiting for him to call in. Possibly, I've been trying to get to him. So, Todd, if you're listening, okay, I think he might be on. All right, great. Hi, Todd, are you there?
It's me. How are you?
Great, thanks. How about yourself?
I'm doing good.
That's good.
I just started a fire, and I turned all the lights off in here. Got cozy.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you're ready to do the show tonight?
I am.
Excellent. Yeah, we had done this discussion last week, folks, and we had some technical difficulties, so we decided to talk about the same subject again. You know, we're going to be talking about our psychic experiences, you know, any extraterrestrial experiences. So anybody out there that wishes to share their experiences with us, you know, you're in a safe, loving environment. It's okay to share. If you'd like to, you can call us at area code 646-652-4889. I'll give you a little background about myself. I am clairsentient. It's like being an empath on steroids. I feel energy. I see energy, you know, very intensely. I can read people's auras. I can stand in somebody's energy and really, you know, kind of pick up on certain aspects of their lives. I know it's a little freaky to everybody, but, you know, there's a lot of us out there, and, you know, I've had a lot of experiences with people that have passed on, you know, spirits and all that. So I have a lot of stories to tell, but I'm going to allow Todd to tell his story first. This is Todd Patrick Curran, and he is the author of The Mysteries of Numerology, and this book is fantastic, folks. It's great if you like rock and roll and numerology. This is the book for you. Todd gives a breakdown of some very famous people's names and shows you how to break down your name too, you know, to get a really nice reading of yourself. And I really do appreciate you joining us tonight, Todd. And I would like Todd to tell his story about what has happened to him, you know, along the psychic realm and extraterrestrial realm. So I'll turn the mic over to you.
Well, I mean, as a young kid, I had an unusual experience on Christmas morning. I'm in Plymouth, Michigan. I can hear the train in the background, that faint sound when you're a child that gives you that peace and safety that I hope that our viewers have, and if that's not the case, we pray for you. But here I was sitting with my brother and sister on the bed waiting for Mom and Dad to get up. It was Christmas morning, and I noticed what appeared to be a small angel next to my sister's shoulder. And I kind of forgot about this, didn't think about it for years because I didn't know how to incorporate it as a child. I certainly wasn't closed off to it. I thought I was still asleep. I certainly rubbed my eyes a couple times. I didn't tell my brother and sister what I saw because I wasn't sure if I was sleeping, number one, and number two, I was afraid that if I moved or said anything, it would go away. Almost like somebody else's energy is going to block you. I don't know if I realized this as a kid. I don't know if this is a sense that we all have, but to open to these things and perceive them, you don't want anything to block that, I suppose. I'm thinking of it more on a soul level now. But anyway, it sparked a few shimmering fiery wands towards my sister's shoulder, and it hovered for a while, and essentially what it was a fairy. Looking back at it, I mean, it looked like a little Tinkerbell. I never really told anybody about it because I didn't know what to make of it, and That was my first experience that I had, and it
wow,
it was harmless.
Yeah, not all. I grew up feeling like spirits were against me, but they're all really not all bad. But you must use discernment with them. We do have a caller we have two callers here. The first, let's see, actually one caller. I'm sorry. Okay, we have someone here with the last four digits of 8839. I'm going to put them on to share their experience. Hello. Welcome. Hello, who am I speaking with?
Hi, is it me?
Please? I'm sorry?
Is it me?
It is you.
Oh,
it is
excellent.
Yeah, that's reassuring.
Pardon me?
It's reassuring to know that it's you.
It is. This is the first time I got on a call in a long time, so I'm very excited. And for both of you, I've been looking at your profiles and everything and very excited to be on the call.
Well, we're glad to have you.
So with the numerology, could you take a look at my birthday?
Oh, certainly.
Okay.
I just can't get away from these numbers.
Okay.
Let's do it. Your birth date.
My birth date is 07/08 of 1960.
Of 1960. A lot of O's in there. That's neat. You put the O's on. Sometimes I forget that those O's are behind there, representing the God force that affects all numbers. 07/08 is July 8th, 15, 25, and 31. 4. You work with your hands. Yes.
I like to work with my hands. Yes. I'm a holistic practitioner. But it seems like the last couple years things stopped for me, and I've been just hanging around, and my husband's been paying all the bills, and now I'm just trying to look at what I'm supposed to do now. I see angels and past lives and spirits and everything. But I don't know where I'm going and what I'm doing next.
Well, your life path adds up to 4. It adds up to 24. Okay. I don't know what you know about numbers. Do you know about double numbers, like 22?
Yes, I do. The numerology, and I was married about 5 or 6 years ago, and my name also went to a 22.
Oh, wow. Isn't that something? Was that your birth name? Was it your maiden name, or you're married?
I just recently got married about 6 years ago, and my married name went to a 22, a master number.
How about that? That can bring in difficult energy if your maiden name isn't a 22, because all of a sudden you find yourself in a higher energy zone.
Right. I think that's what happened. Because all of a sudden I was doing really well in my career, my holistic life and everything, and then all of a sudden things just went weird.
My cousin was born with no master numbers inherited 3 through her marriage, and I recommended she go back to her maiden name, and she did, because that's just too much energy to incorporate. It's almost like all of a sudden you have to become a master when you were not one when you came here, Now, having said that, you came in as a 22 for life path, and even though you I don't know if you had reached mastery in a past life, because we haven't done your maiden name. You could be do you know your maiden name number?
I forget what it is now.
Okay. Well, either way, you coming in with a 22 life path, you were working on becoming a master in your past lives. Even though, and of course, even if it's in your name, you're working on becoming a master. It's just more prevalent than when it's in your life path. And I say working on it because I don't believe that there's any masters down here. I've heard people that have talked about, reaching enlightenment and all that, but I haven't seen it. The lessons just keep coming at us,
Mhm.
So, I mean, that any time somebody tells me they see angels, and the first thing I want to know is there any double numbers anywhere?
Oh, okay, yes.
Because those numbers vibrated higher frequencies. That 2 is being magnified, and thus the individual has more focused energy and is in contact with the spiritual realms through that energy. It's almost like they straddle the other realms. Fortunately for the master numbers, as opposed to the karmic numbers, the master numbers are better to control, can control the energy better than the karmic numbers, like the Einstein that is, split in between two worlds. And let me kind of explain the gap there. Einstein's born on the 14th, and 14s are spacey. They're scattered, and so they're kind of going off in these other realms. Which is great. It's not great for details. It's great for philosophical work. And I thought, well, how could he become a master? Well, Albert adds up to 22, so there you go. That higher energy allowed him to focus that erratic energy and turn it to genius. To pull it back down, almost like pulling tying it, somebody that's like a kite, right? And the 22 anchors them so that they don't fly off too far. So, so the 22 is a visionary number, and it's a master builder. It's somebody that can that is not only practical but has vision and sensitivity through the 2s, the 4 being the earth, and that's why it's considered to be one of the most powerful master numbers. Certainly we have to consider people like Spielberg, who's an 88, 16, 7, all dealing with the spiritual realm, since that's 4 times 22. Those numbers certainly can't be left out. And they're higher up, too, so there's a higher intensity that comes with them. But it's wonderful to have. And so many of the people that call in here are double numbers. The first thing I teach when I teach a numerology class is I put down the what the master numbers mean, because that most of the people in the class are going to have them. That's why they're there. They want to be enlightened. They already are, but it's a great awakening.
My 3 sons have master numbers also.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And it runs in families. This whole spiritual cluster that we come here for, people talk about genetics and all that, but what you find out is that they're clusters of numbers based on, alcoholics convene together, writers convene together so that they can work out their, transform through that karmic, I don't know what. Susan, give me a word.
I think karmic path.
Path.
Yeah, the karmic issues, I see.
Karmic path, right. I was thinking of plowing through it, and I couldn't think of I was going to say fortitude, and it's like, well, that'll work. Somehow that fits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I've been
July
very
8th,
stuck.
huh?
Do you see anything opening up for me with in the next little while?
Well, you're in a 2-year right now. 7. How I did that was 7 and 8 in 2012. 7 and 8 and 2 and 1 and 2. If you add them up, you'd get 20 or 2. You'd add the 2 and the 0 together. So you're in a 2-year, and the hard part about a 2-year is it's an ink. You could say this about all cycles. Let's face it, we're down here on Earth. I'm in a 3-year, and it's supposed to be the best. I haven't had time to catch up with it to really appreciate it. The 2-year is an incubation period. It's when things start to develop, but I don't know, does it seem like things are going slowly?
Oh, yes. Yes, I've been trying several things lately, and I get to a point, and it just, like, I've been building a website, I get to a point and it just stops.
I mean, that must be part of our task down here. I've been going through that for years. You know, I'm going through hundreds of documents today. I got 2 computers running at the same time, and you know, trying to get efficient. And it will all come together next year. You know, when you go into a 3-year, it's manifestation. That which is unconscious, or the 2, or subconscious, I guess, or the psychic energies that are incubated. The female energy is added to the male or consciousness to create something brand new, you know. So there's always this building that takes place, transpires from the cycles of 1 to 9, you know, and it does take a while. Right now you are in a 14-5 month. Several things happen with that, 14 being a karmic number. Either you seem scattered, you want to travel unhampered, you either will or you can't, or you're blocked. You know, to feel that things aren't coming around is just what the doctor ordered. We have to assume that chaos is all part of this. It seems to me that the higher I spiral up, the more chaos I have to go through. And if you can accept that and incorporate that and be patient, you know, you'd be in good shape. You're in a 2 right now. I'm trying to think. You go into a in 2013. You go into 3 years, so you're coming up on it. You're right in it. You're going from chaos to creativity and order in January, and you know, it's not far off. The energy starts to change around the 20th. You know, we have to assume that that's the final third of the month, so it starts to move from that erratic 14 energy into the 3. And the 4 month, which will be in January, which is very stabilizing. That should be a good month for you.
Thank you so much for the hope. I really needed that right now. So
well,
thank you
it is, and it's true, you know.
Yeah.
It's going to get better.
So it is, and so it will be. So thank you so much for taking my call.
Oh, you're welcome. You have a great night.
I love and appreciate both of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. We do have another caller online. The last 4 digits are 3471. I'm going to go live right now. Hello, and welcome to Transitions to Transformation Radio. Who are we speaking with?
Lee.
Hi, Lee. Welcome to the show.
How are you?
Hello, Lee.
Hi, how are you?
Good, you?
Good.
Glad to hear that.
My question, I don't know how much would lend to numerology or not, but sometimes you surprise me, so I thought I'd throw it out there anyway. Me and my roommate were talking over the weekend about where are we going to be 10 years from now? Where is it we would like to be 10 years from now? And his response was, well, he'd like to have his own place in the woods, near water, probably near a river or whatever. And that all sounds nice and pleasant. And when I think about it, you know, I'm a Cancer. I like to have my castle. I like to have a place where I can be comfortable, which I have now. I have a house, and I am pretty comfortable. And then when I hear him describe the same situation to me, it sounds boring. And it is my own intuition that tells me that's not where I'm going to be 10 years from now. 10 years from now, I'm going to be traveling, and I'm going to be teaching, and then I'm not going to own any property, but I'm just kind of going to go with the flow and take take life as it is and not worry about being connected with things, and which is completely opposite of where I'm at right now. So I'm just wondering, you know, I mean, you have my birth information, right, or do you not?
I do. You got the same birth date as Nikola Tesla, if I'm not mistaken. You're born on July 10th?
That's correct.
Let's see. So 17, 27, 9. You're in an 8-year, and in 10 years you're going to be in a 9-year, and you will be moving somewhere in 10 years. And it's a lot different than the energy that you're in now, which is not moving energy. Of course, because of that, because there's a change every 9 years, you could move next year. And, you know, it doesn't specifically state that you would be whether you'd be in a stable home or not, but the fact that you come in as a 4, which wants the castle, which is stability, which is the 4 boxes, you know, where security is very important, then we can only assume, that being your most important number, that that's exactly where you're going to find yourself, and there will be a move in 10 years. And there could be a move next year, or travel, or endings. Of course, we always got endings coming up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could go down in a fiery crash in 10 years, but hey, you know, we never know, right? It might be the best time of your life. You know, the things we fear or understand, you know, try to understand, you know, whatever it is, we might as well enjoy it, right? It's all good if you think about it. All the things that we fear and so forth, we are protected every minute of our lives. All we have to do is let go.
Yeah.
And in 10 years, you'll be letting go, that's for sure. Because that's exactly what that energy is referred to. Now your roommate's birthday, is it the 4th of December?
It is the 2nd of December.
Oh, well, I was only a couple off. 14 and 6. Well, wait a minute. 7. Okay, so he will be in a 7-year in 10 years, and 7 is water. It makes perfect sense. All these hurricanes, they all happen in 7 cycles. They happen in cycles of 7 and 11. 1 and 1 is 2. 2 and 7 are water. 11 has huge centrifugal force because it's a double number. And the storm that we just had, same thing, 7-11 cycle. Actually, it was a 16 cycle, which is karmic. It shows areas that are wounded, I suppose, and chaos will be driven into those areas so that they can be reordered and restructured correctly. I don't know. I can't tell you the spiritual implications, but there's poor foundations in those areas, and hard for me to believe it's not right down to the very core of the bones, you know. But I don't want to throw that on anybody because we don't really understand these things. They're all restorative and corrective responses of the universe. That's all.
Right, and I welcome whatever happens. But my feeling, my insight, my third sense is that I will be homeless, but I will be homeless by choice.
Right.
That I will want to be not attached to material objects, and that it is my choice to rely on the benevolence of others as I travel. Almost as if I was in India and I was going from town to town in India, that kind of thing.
Well, Lee, let me tell you what's funny of the connection that all three of us have. That's fascinating to me because I don't think in terms of psychic. I don't even like the word. And of course, when you're studying numbers and symbols, you are automatically, if you're not already psychic, and I always have been, I don't incorporate it. I don't know where it comes from. You get a hunch because you're reading the symbols, you know. And when you said that you wanted stability and all that right from the beginning, the first thing I was going to ask you, but I know it's not true, was are you homeless? Because I tend to take the oppositional point of view sometimes from what somebody is saying, because that's what they are referring to as an alternative plan. And in a 9-year, certainly, 9 being internationalism, the whole world involved in 9s, that's why the great humanitarians are 9, the idea of going from place to place and living through the benevolence of humanity could not fit any more, you know. And I was homeless in Santa Cruz, California, when the not when the first earthquake hit in 100 years, exactly 1 year before when the tremors hit. And I cannot tell you to this day that I wouldn't say that I enjoyed it necessarily, but I have no negative feelings of it, even though I was, you know, freezing a couple times. I incorporated that lesson and knew I wouldn't be there, and I had a policeman say, "You don't look like you belong here. You can clean some cars of mine." Took me in and got a Greyhound, went back home, and you know, enjoyed it. I was offered a job on the streets, and I refused it. You know, I mean, when we look at our lives and what we go through, and oh, why is this happening to me? We choose all of this. I didn't want to work. I thought I'd get stuck there. It was a security job. I felt unstimulated in my life. I needed to take on always something that was challenging, you know, whether it was working with the handicapped or, you know, I just couldn't do other than landscaping and stuff like that, because I'm a Capricorn, you know, where I was doing a lot of physical and moving around, you know, and I commend you for thinking in those terms, because they're very important experiences. And I don't know about you, but the load of stuff I have, and even this computer stuff, weighs heavy on my mind. You know, the attachments that we have. I often think of going to live in the woods, you know. Anyway.
Yeah, sometimes we get overstimulated.
God bless you. What, Susan?
Well, sometimes we get overstimulated, you know, with all the technology, and we get burnt out, and we just want to go within and just be, you know, just kind of be still and just kind of soak in everything, you know, instead of being bombarded with a lot of things, a lot of worries, and a lot of weight, you know, restrictions on our lives.
Well, it's not making us better people. It's just another toy, and it's another place to put our energy.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
And it's all part of the capitalistic machine that we're stuck in.
Oh, absolutely.
That we choose to be stuck in.
Yeah, and something that my roommate has said in the past, and I kind of agree with, and I have to qualify what you were saying. When he said he wanted to live in the woods, he meant, you know, living in a house with a toilet and a stove and blah, blah, blah. He's not intending to say that he wants to rough it. But one thing he has said in the past that I kind of agree with is when you own property, you're kind of tethered to it. You can't move around. And
oh man!
So your freedom's a little bit limited. You know, when you own property, your freedom's a little bit limited because you can't necessarily just go to Colorado and hike in the mountains if you want to, because you've got this piece of property that you have to maintain. So I kind of agree with a little bit. But that being said, right now owning my house is something that's appropriate. It's appropriate for my life situation at this moment. So I'm not looking to get rid of my house right now, but I'm thinking down the road, 10 years from now, will it be appropriate for me to own property? I don't know. We'll have to see.
I see you going to an ashram, and I see this great big mountainous or hill type place with an ashram, and I see you going there. I guess.
Susan can see really deep down the line. I see you getting attacked by a massive butterfly before that. So you're going to have your little trials and tribulations in between, and that's the funny thing about our lives, is how many, we look down the line and it's like, we have all these things come at us that twist and turn our lives in between where we lose our vision. So hold on to that vision,
Absolutely, something to aspire to. And I also see you moving in with Mom first before you go into the ashram. So, I see you moving in with your mom for a little time there, and that's how you're going to get your freedom to begin with. That's what I see. And
don't worry about the butterfly attack. You'll never see it coming.
Exactly.
It'll be out of the blue. It'll be out of the blue.
Will it be Susan attacking me because she really likes butterflies?
Well, metaphorically, yes.
It'll be all purple butterflies.
Look, it's going to be good for you, all right? Incorporate the experience. Sweet angel, wrap me in your velvet cloak, my dear. Love's a sweet, warm goddess. That little quote from the cult, Soul Asylum.
Yeah,
so think of it as a warm embrace.
Yeah.
Sure.
I see a lot of great things. Really, he's kind of like a walking encyclopedia, and he's just so full of knowledge, and he's just. You would be a great teacher, Lee, and I think you're on the right path. It's just don't, I wouldn't worry about how to get from point A to point B. I would just, live for the moment, just take it one baby step, one day at a time.
Lee, my father,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have been told over and over again, by knowledgeable people that eventually I'm going to be a teacher. And I've been told by others, different people, that I'm going to be a traveler. And so if you put the two together, traveling teacher, and I can honestly see that about myself.
Yes. Yeah, I see that too. And all the meditation classes, all the Vedic knowledge that you have, you may just be opening up your own ashram. That's what I'm actually seeing that. You're not necessarily going to be tethered to it. You're going to be free to travel wherever you go. You're going to, kind of like Roy Eugene Davis. He travels a lot, but he still has his Center for Spiritual Awareness in Georgia, which is a great place, by the way.
Right, but
where were you?
Go ahead.
When's your birth date? I don't remember what your birth date number was.
7/10/1969.
Oh, you're 13, aren't you? A 13 life path, I believe.
You're a 42/6, so you're a teacher, and your name is a 4. 6 and 4 is 10 or 1. One travels alone and leaves everything behind. You're born on the 10th. It's also a 1. So you have the teacher, the 6 and the 4 are both teachers, especially the 6. And with this 1 energy in there, then there's this desire to go make it on your own. And Ted Kaczynski, God bless the man. You know, I call him Kazzy. You know, try to give him a little healing energy there. If it wasn't for the bombs and stuff, you know, I could go out and go in the woods for a while. You know, I'd have to have a mall somewhere in the area. You know, every once in a while, because I've tried that before. I went up in the mountains of North Carolina and had a few UFO experiences there, and I went there in a time where I still had some shadow work to do, and I could hear my own thoughts echoing off my mind. I'm not there anymore, but sometimes, unless you're prepared for that journey into the woods, it can be a little like the dark night of the soul also, which is a good thing.
Yeah, you know, Greg Braden said in his 7 to See Mirrors, it's on YouTube, folks, and it's free. It's like 2 hours and 5 minutes. I was absolutely glued to it. Explained how we all mirror each other and what we need to learn in life. And, you know, he said that the dark night of the soul is it's just a step stool for you to go to your next level. You know, you've overcome, you've learned, you've mastered your previous lessons, and now you're up to, you know, bigger and better things. So, you know, when you're going,
Susan, when you're going through the dark night of the soul, you're talking about going either deeper into your karma or, in a sense, taking it to the next evolution on the mountain, peak of darkness into the light.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm glad to know that, because the dark night of the soul, the Neptune conjunct Saturn I've had sitting in my chart, I was complaining. I've told a lot of people lately because I felt those diffident energies of that, and I realized I'm going to teach at a ABC liquor, wine, and beer tasting on Thursday night, and I remember telling the girl there, yeah, but I'm going through the dark night of the soul. I need to stop saying that. That was 13 months ago. I thought, wow. And I can feel those energies, you know, but they come and go. What's interesting about it, Susan, is with that energy is a certain reclusiveness that comes with it, tremendous amount of asceticism, walking, a lot of running, staying in one place, you know, kind of downtrodden, interesting, clean Spanish neighborhoods, but almost like living in the woods, you know, because I'm not sure what to do with the energy. And then in between these little journeys to a dilapidated track I've been going for 20 years, where I had a hawk almost hit my windshield one day when I came out of a dark night of the soul in a relationship. Found the hawk dead a couple days ago. So that whole area is interesting because there's nothing out there. It's not an area you'd expect to see any living thing. But every time I come back and I'm doing work or I'm setting up more classes, I have to keep telling myself, as the days pass and I'm staring at the walls and wondering what I'm going to do next, and I'm feeling a little alone, that I'm getting a lot of stuff done in preparation for this, you know, this radiant light to come out. And I'm just thinking of all these hawks I've been seeing lately, right in my face. Yesterday, a mother hawk and a baby hawk sitting on a pole on a one of those alligator posts that says "Do not swim," you know, near a beautiful pond where I walk. And I had a shooting star again fall very close to me when I was out on my track. And I don't know what to make of those signs, because that happened the day that I misplaced my rush tickets, and all the numbers added up to 3, and I said, I'm going there for sure, you know. But we don't know the reasons why. Any insight into those, Lee and Sue?
Yeah, actually, I pulled out Ted Andrews' Animal Speak, and I'm looking here at hawks. It says, hawks are one of the most intriguing and mystical of the birds of prey. They are the messengers, the protectors, and the visionaries of the air. Hawks and owls have the keenest eyes of all raptors. And it says here, I'm looking for the spiritual meaning. They're just describing the hawk. So basically, the hawk is a messenger, and there's so many of them. I'm reading through this. Sorry, folks, there's just so much to read. It just says, this powerful bird can awaken visionary power and lead you to your life purpose. It is a messenger bird, and wherever it shows up, pay attention. There is a message coming. So there you go.
Susan, what's interesting about this, and even though how I see when I think more about these falling stars, and I sense when I'm up at 4 a.m. in the morning and I'm taking these long tracks, long walks to this track, and I don't see a soul, and I've been doing this for years. Great therapy for me, by the way. I don't complain about it. It can be a little bit lonely at times. It's interesting to go through these neighborhoods and never see anybody. It makes you wonder, am I that out of the box? What are these people doing in there? I kind of, hey, what are you doing? And knock on the door. I guess I've always had that high energy as an 88, but it's almost like I asked a channeler, whatever you want to call them, fellow spiritual individual, why I see these lights all the time. I used to see lights all the time. I'd see them, I worked security at one point. When I broke my arm, I got a security job. And she said they're just showing you that you're on your way, that you're on the right path. And I think it's interesting because I don't really know what we're here to do down here, but it seems like my path has been dark for a long time, but it's almost like I'm somehow able to incorporate it and thrive through it. But wow, it must really be preparing me for something, because it seems like I am always creating things and putting them together and trying to efficiently figure out what all this is for. And this has been going on for 10, 15 years.
Yeah,
and I don't know what the purpose of it all is, because it doesn't sound like I'm being, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, you know what? When I seen your aura last Monday, it was green. It was healing. You've done so much work, and now you're ready for the next level. Now, with the very next day, you found out that you're going to be on Bay News 9, which is a local Bay radio. Not radio. News show here in Florida, and Todd's going to be on it Wednesday at what time?
From 5 a.m. to 4 p.m. On the hour. I'm not sure specifically what time, but yeah, starting at 5 a.m.
Yep, and you're going to be talking about 12-12-12. That's going to be this coming Wednesday. So it's interesting. And it's all good. It's all about heaven on earth, basically. Creating your own heaven on earth, and there's so much more to it, which I know you know.
Well, when I was asked to go on, I didn't know much about 12-12-12. Let's face it, as a numerologist, I try to read people's birth charts first and foremost. It's enough to just deal with the energy of all the lives that's written within that birth name itself to incorporate the future. So I had to learn this really quickly, and I was learning astronomy, and this news person's going to show up, and I've got 4 hours, and I want to go for a walk and get some sun, go on my track, and I'm studying this to death, and I'm thinking, geez, I'm going to have to just fall back on the numbers. I'm not really an astronomer. I can't memorize this stuff by rote. I can see how it all fits into the polar shift of the number 14 that comes from the 2012, but essentially the way I was thinking of it today was a expansive, which deals with the 12-12-12 or the 12-21-12 expansion, which is 3 of consciousness. to higher consciousness and higher states of love and peace, and that explains all the numbers of the 1221, and also in the process of doing this, the earth heals. And what I wanted to do was I had this crazy idea to call the Bay News 9 and have some artists that I know paint this mural. She never got back to me, and I didn't necessarily expect her to. You know, you're lucky if you can get on there one time, but it seemed so crazy when I thought about it, but I was helping somebody move, and the artist was going to be there, and he was like, well, this is what it'll cost, and I'll stay up all night long and do it, and, you know. And it was, and as I'm walking and I'm obsessing with this, kind of in a manic zone that day, you know, a little bit too much coffee. You know, I enjoy that whole experience. I thought, this is a crazy idea, and I thought, but it doesn't matter whether or not it's perpetuated. You already perpetuated it. When you called her and you told her that that day was about love and peace, that is what these days are about. They are not about endings. The polar shift that throws us off is a deprogramming of the way we think, that we want to separate from other people through the 14, which is drugs, alcoholism, lust, greed. We will find ourselves left alone, and this is what happens to the karmic numbers. They are, I don't want to say separated. The law of attraction will bring those same people into that dense energy, but because there's a lot of double numbers on those days, there is a raise towards higher consciousness. And so essentially those people are left alone to their own devices. That's the polar shift, or the polarity of the 14 and the 2012.
Yeah.
You know, it's like grow or else, you know.
Yeah. You know, that's the whole thing. You know, within the next, within under 2 weeks, you know, the 21st, you know, as everybody knows, the end of the Mayan calendar. It's not the apocalypse, I can tell you that. You know, the weather patterns we've been experiencing are such a shift in energy on the planet, and it's so important to think positively, because, you know, thoughts become things. And what we think, speak, and do, you know, just, it comes out. It's a rhyme. What you speak, think, and do comes right back at you. It's the cosmic boomerang. You know, and it's going to only be accelerated after, you know, starting now, but even more so after the 21st. You know, the planets are going to line up, and, you know, the Earth's energy is going to be changing. So you can either create your own heaven or create your own hell. And I think that's 12-12-12. When I looked it up, it's heaven on Earth, and you can create it. And all these, like Superstorm Sandy and everything. You know, I kept posting on Facebook, you know, for everybody that was in Sandy's path, meditate on peace, love, and joy. You know, it's a great thing to do, because you're sending energy out there that can counteract any type of fluctuation in the weather patterns. I experienced it myself with Tropical Storm Debbie. I live right on the water, and the water was coming up to the seawall. I was getting really nervous, and I said, well, it's better than this. I'm just going to go in my room. I'm going to meditate, peace, love, and joy, and send this stuff out. Well, sure enough, I was in my room, and I'm meditating for like almost 15 minutes. The wind died down, and I did not get flooded. But the houses across the street did. And, I guess I should have focused more on the whole block, but at the time I was, I was just really focusing, intently on my side of the block and trying to, but long story short, it really does make a difference. And I'm only one person. Imagine if everybody out there did the same thing. I'm no different than anybody else. We all have this innate ability to make our thoughts become things. I know it sounds like woo-hoo stuff, but I got to see it.
Well, it's the next level, Susan.
Yeah.
It's the next level. Even as a numerologist, I got mad one time and I said, when do the numbers change? And I stormed out, like a, mad child. And and I remember somebody in the class who I've seen years later. It's all like a dream, because I barely knew this guy at the time, and he said, I think it's about letting go. And when I tell somebody that, well, we don't really change the numbers and so forth, that's my own lack of faith. The individual I told that the other day said that she was beating her numbers. Of course we're beating our numbers. That's what they're there for. It's just that we move slowly through them. And who am I to say that we have to move slowly through them? But Gandhi was very aware of or talked about the fact that we evolve very slowly through many lifetimes. I don't think there's any doubt about that. We certainly can speed it up. And are trying to, and we are trying to. The activation of 1212 and 1221, all the numbers are the same for both days. They're both 11s, which is the activation of high energy. The difference is on the 21st, there's instead of a pure 6, there's a 33. There's a double master energy coming in on that day, which perpetuates the ending, the 12, 12, 12, 36, 9, the ending of a cycle, 12 being the ending of a cycle. There is no 13, 13. We'll get 13 next year. We'll get it in 2013, and we will continue to have some polar shifts. That's why these are markers. This is not, we are going to continue to evolve, and 2014 brings a double karmic number. You're talking about potential contact and higher consciousness, and especially in 2016 because of the energy of the 7, or extreme futuristic technologies coming to the forefront, spiritual technologies, massive television cranes that go that are in synchronization with television and music that move to the screens. This is what I see. As an 88 or a 7, I see this spiritual technology. I don't know if it's here or there, but if it's there, we can bring it here. I mean, we're here to bring heaven down here. Give me a Butterfingers. Go out, Lee. Go out and get us a box of Butterfingers.
I think Lee has dropped off. We're so sorry. I had the mic on. I guess he just he thought maybe that we were disconnected or something. But he was still.
He might have gone into the rapture. You never know. As tuned in as he is, he might be going out to get the Butterfingers already.
Maybe. Hey, thanks, Lee. Well, thanks for joining us, Lee. I always love when he calls in because he's got a lot of knowledge, and he really asks some really great questions too. So kudos to you, Lee, and But we were where we ended off before with with your story of your experience rather of seeing the angels near your sister. You just ended with that. Tell us other things that have happened to you.
Well, first of all, let me move on to say that my sister got in a couple pretty serious car accidents. One involved with the driver being involved in a fatal accident, and my sister was protected, no doubt, and that's where that story, that's the culmination of that story, is my belief that she would need a little extra protection,
Yeah.
That's not necessarily the case, because I saw it, but we like to make that connection, and it's an easy connection to make.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I know with myself, going through cancer 3 times and surviving, I had, someone had been giving me antifreeze in my drink years ago, and for me to survive that alone is a miracle. It's like I definitely have my angels around me. I have a whole story about that too, but it's a little bit, it is personal, but I don't mind sharing. I'll just have to omit a lot of the stuff that happened. But long story short, I was living with somebody who had been slowly giving me antifreeze in my drinks, and the reasons, that I believed was a possession and other things. All I know is I kept getting sicker and sicker, and, one day I was in my computer room, and I was just computing away, just checking out what was on the internet, and all of a sudden I felt two large hands smack down the back of I was on one of those rolling chairs that you would see in an office, smacked it down,
right.
Jumped up, and I was very adversarial at that time. I must have said so many expletives it wasn't, it wasn't even funny, but, I just...
Then why are you laughing?
Well, because now I can look back and say, see how far I've come.
Then isn't that great that we can that we can get to that point?
Yeah. I'm at this point because it's almost like a cosmic joke. That's why I laugh, because, everything that's happened to me up until this point, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I survived that. But I laugh because the way I used to be very adversarial. I used to get up and I used to, any spirit that would contact me, I was taught that no spirit should come up to you unbidden. And I believe that to this day, because I had, actually, let me backtrack and finish the story first. I had, gotten up, I had said what I said to the spirit, and then in the hallway, down the hallway was my bedroom, the door had actually bubbled out and bubbled in. And of course, I went right up to it, and I said, get out of my house now, And it seemed to be gone, but I sat back down in my room, and I noticed I hadn't seen holograms since I was, since I was about 11. And it's a sign of a healer, and I didn't know it at the time, but I had seen 3 flashes. And it's almost, you ever see, in the Star Wars movie where Princess Leia looks all blue, she's being broadcasted from R2-D2, and she's like, Obi-Wan, please help, where she's all green.
That was awesome. I remember those. I love those movies.
Yeah. Well, I had seen something like that, but only in color, and it was of somebody putting something in my drink, and I didn't want to believe it. And I'm saying, okay, what are you showing me? And I got, it was 3 flashes, and I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. And then that night when that person came home, sure enough, he got me something to drink. It was milk. I drank half of it, and there was a red film there. And it was the sweetest milk I ever tasted. And, folks, just to let you know, antifreeze tastes sweet. That's why animals come up and they lick it. If it's leaking from a car, you always discourage your animals from drinking that. It's poison, and it tastes very, very sweet. And I drank it halfway down, and then I started to feel problems with my left lung. And that night I knew I had to go take a plane within the next day to Florida to be with my parents. And I was scared to death, but I knew that, even though I felt adversarial towards the spirit that was trying to help me, I've been so conditioned since I was young. I've had a lot of not so nice experiences with spirits. So I still to this day am a little bit adversarial, but, you always challenge a spirit if they come up to you. Number one, you say, are you of the light? And if they don't answer, they're not of the light. And spirits can make themselves sound like your mother, your father, anybody in your family. It's really amazing how somebody's voice can be duplicated by them. So don't be fooled. I'm just saying, a little psychic protection here. What you need to do is always use discernment when spirit comes up to you. I've been taught, and I'm glad I've been taught, to always challenge them. So I always ask, are you of the light? And if they don't answer, just say, I command you to leave now, and say it very firm. Something happened to me a few weeks ago where I was just sitting in my bedroom, and I had a stack of books, and they were stacked where they wouldn't fall. But it was like somebody came up and whacked them. They went across my room, and then I jumped up and I said, "Who are you? Are you of the light?" Nobody answered, and I said, "I command you to leave now." And no problem after that, but you're going to find earthbound spirits that have, not, that don't realize they've crossed over, and, of course, I want to help them cross over, but I have to screen them first to make sure that, they are not of lower level. There's many different realms. There's a lot to mention, but the ones from the lower realms, they play pranks on you, like elementals, nature spirits. I've had to deal with these too, and they just can't be trusted. So, you have to, if they do not answer you when you ask, "Are you of the light?" then they shouldn't belong there.
Susan, I don't understand those realms necessarily, but coming in as a 7 or an 88-7, which is considered to be a higher 7, Spielberg, and then having a 16 behind it, one of the only master numbers that has a karmic number behind it, and 16 goes into the muck. It's kind of explains the Scorpio rising I have, or the Phoenix rising, right? The burning off the flames to the higher realms, or the crashing into the earth and going into the underworld, and that's what the 7 does. And certainly, when I go to sleep, I go into trance, and I've had tours of heaven. I've seen the purple sphere. And I know what it feels like in the other realms, and it's not comprehensible, the beauty in the lack of duality and the not needing to know anything. And on the other hand, down on this realm, at this realm, I have gone into those lower realms where I have had, during these light sleeps, or whether I'm in the sun, having these what seems to be spirits, and they're disturbing to me. Now, I don't understand it. I don't know if I'm in an uncomfortable sleep. It's not my expertise, like I said, but it seems to me that I wake up in quite a bad mood in any time that I have somebody. I had like a nurse telling me blah, 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 all kinds of things a couple weeks ago. And it was amazing to me. It had nothing to do with my life whatsoever. It was disturbing in the sense that it's a psychic impression of something that has nothing to do with my life or anything that I could understand at all, where I was straddling two dimensions at the same time, this certainly being a lower one because it was irrelevant information to me. I would like your insight into that because the input was valueless to me, as far as I know.
Yeah. Well, a lot. There was what came to me immediately was that the spirit was trying to influence you, and I had the same problem where they would try to influence me, in all different realms. And when something doesn't feel right, when you know it's not your path, and you don't feel comfortable with it, you know that they're trying to influence you. There's negative spirit guides and there's good spirit guides. The negative spirit guides are, they're on the lower level, and they want to derail you from what you're supposed to do in life. And you're an 88, so you're a master, and you have, you definitely have the ability to uplift and heal other people. So of course they're going to try to divert you and try to trip you up, so to speak. So always use, trust your gut.
Well, and let me give you some credit here also. Not that these double numbers are in any sense on a higher realm. They're testing numbers. They're a very high energy. the individual usually runs the battery out and then they have to rest. That's essentially the order of these. Bill Gates, all having triple master numbers, has the most powerful numbers in the United States right now. Da Vinci's were probably more powerful as a quadruple 11. Of course, Jesus comes in as 11, and all the other masters come in as, most of them as doubles. 9s are masters, absolutely, because they're humanitarians. To evolve to the level of going through all those stages to become a great healer through all those myriad of lives, consider the that type of loving energy. But, you come in as a 55, 1, as a channel, and 5 and 5 is 10, and 1 and 0 is 1. As a channel, the conversion of language into universal. Bill Gates taking 55-1 destiny as a founder, a 1. That was his destiny number, to convert the human language into the computer language, and certainly with the help of Steve Jobs, who was also a 1. But I commend you with that 55. It's interesting that we have supposedly reached this master level, and I've had, and I don't know how anyone else's life is, but several near-death experiences, no doubt about it. Pushing, in my case with the 16 there, and maybe this is always the case. Some of them self-induced. And what I realize is that it's just not our time yet. We're not. The part of the path of these double numbers is to be able to resist these forces, to integrate deeper knowledge for the healing of humanity. And I think write that down, Susan. I like that. It's just something I just thought about. That's what some of these experiences are for. And I'm never the type of person that's going to go so far as to say that, that's why you were poisoned with antifreeze. I won't go to that level any more than, when I study Hitler's chart, it's clear that he fulfilled his path through his numbers, at least through the myriad abstractions of those symbols. He's right there in it. But I'm not here to make a judgment one way or the other, but my judgment is of unacceptability. And the reason, because if there was anything to learn from that, and we certainly did, to make sure that it doesn't happen again, that's in the past,
Right.
First and foremost. It doesn't have to happen again.
Absolutely. And I have somebody on that wants to talk. The last 4 digits of the phone number is 4956. Hello, and welcome to Transitions to Transformation Radio. Who am I speaking with?
This is Linda.
Hi, Linda. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Good evening,
Very
Linda.
Good.
How are you?
Good evening. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. You're at 22 right off the bat. Linda, a lot of Lindas in the metaphysical and interspersed throughout the whole society. And when I say metaphysical, by the way, this whole idea of metaphysical is completely integrated through the fabric of all of humanity. It's not something that needs to be claimed. It's happening on every single aspect of our society. Medicine is completely being changed by these masters of light that are integrated into these systems and are changing it to a more spiritual and holistic. Boy, where did that all come from? That was channeled. All right, back to Linda.
Yeah.
Back to Linda.
Back to Linda. I'm here. I got a question. After my mother passed away, I heard a bird outside my window every single night after 12 o'clock at night. And it got to a point where I actually called my girlfriends over to hear this bird because I thought I was going crazy. I said, there's got to be something wrong with me. But there was actually a bird. All of us were afraid to go outside, but it's bothered me for 2 years now. What was this bird?
I got the impression it was a raven.
Yeah, go ahead, Susan.
Yeah, I got the impression that it's a raven. I'm looking it up now in animal speak. If you want to say a few things to Linda, I'm going to look this up while you're talking to Linda.
Well, I didn't want to be a smart-ass about it. I'm sorry to hear about your mother, but we can first say it's all relative. At least it wasn't the Mothman.
Well, we don't know what the Mothman is, so it's okay.
Yeah, I get that's true. I guess we don't really know what that energy is. It's kind of ambiguous. When 10 years ago, I was waiting with a whole bunch of people waiting for U2 tickets in Plant City, and all I remember is I guess I was a numerologist back then. Signing my name, I was the 9th person to get the tickets. 9 is death, or a final cycle, and a dove hit the windshield of the I think it was called Specs back then, and I picked it up and I put it up in a tree, and I thought, well, I mean, come on, without us sounding like we have this great ability, I already knew that my father was not doing well, and I thought somebody's going to die, and he died very, very soon after that incident.
This was after she died, and this was me and my girlfriend spoke about it a lot, and she finally talked me into going outside. And when I finally said, okay, I'm ready, I had her on the phone and speaker, and I said, I'm going to go outside. And the bird was done, never showed up again. So
wow.
I don't know. Yeah.
I think it definitely, I'm looking up Raven here. It says magic, shape-shifting, and creation. It says the raven is one of those birds that has a tremendous amount of lore and mythology surrounding it. It is often contradictory. It is a bird of birth and death. It is a bird about mysticism and magic. So I think basically what it was telling you is that after death comes life. It's contradictory that way.
Right. And then we had the battles of the butterflies for a couple months after that, which was very strange.
So they're all transformative. They're all flight in transformation. And I've heard enough stories of birds, people believing that their loved ones are coming back as birds, that I believe that to be the soul of the departed.
Yeah, I wish I had the nerve to go outside, because it sounded like a beautiful bird. I mean, it was singing, and I said to my girlfriend, "What birds fly at night?" And she said, "None." I said, "No, seriously, what birds fly at night?" And she said, "Lynn, none. We're on Long Island, none." And I said, "It's got to be something, because it's out my window."
Yeah. You know? Well, being that this is a shapeshifter, ravens are shapeshifters. They can show up at any time.
Okay.
So that's the imprint that I'm seeing.
Okay.
And it's definitely it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
Okay.
You know, but you probably felt that fear because you knew that it was a spirit that has passed on.
Yeah.
And, you know, just like a lot of relatives come back as birds to let you know that everything's going to be okay. So being that the raven is contradictory, it means both birth and death. So it's basically saying, okay, my physical body may be gone, but you know, my spirit world is on. Yeah. So
a lot of things have happened to me and my daughter since then. So it's just we're all sitting here going, I don't know. You know, we had the battle of the butterflies, which the butterflies would show up on our shoulders, on our coffee cups. It was
wow.
Yeah, and we all, you know, it was comical because, you know, I'll sit outside and have a cup of coffee in the morning, and the butterfly would land on my cup of coffee, and I swear it stared me right in the face, and I'm going, could you move? I want to drink my cup of coffee.
Are you sure you didn't put a little extra French vanilla in there, and it was trying to get some of that good nectar?
Like I said, in March on Long Island, it's cold. I mean, I don't know what these butterflies were doing out there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, the story's getting even better.
Yeah, the strangest things were, I mean, it's cold. We don't get spring till, like, end of April here.
Yeah.
So it was comical. Like, what is that butterfly doing here now? You know?
Linda, the world is so, Susan and I are fortunate in the sense that we can have many, many of these spiritual experiences. We haven't even begun to tap them, and this universe is so supernaturally oriented. It is not natural, it's supernatural, okay? In the end, this is where we find ourselves, that these experiences that are out of the ordinary, are endless, and they break all of the Guinness Book of World Records. We don't even incorporate 90% of what we're seeing.
Yeah, no, and I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
no, I
agree. Butterflies in March, in my world, it makes perfect sense, because those extreme experiences get your attention.
Yeah, it definitely got our attention. I mean, even my daughters were like, "Mom," and I'm like, "Don't swat it," you know. You know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you know it's sacred.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The other thing is we had praying mantises.
Oh, they're great. Oh, let's look that up. I'm going to look up.
Yeah, I've looked that one up before, and I don't remember what it means.
Yeah, he lived in my front room for months, and my girls were terrified of this big, huge bug. And I said, "No, don't touch him. It's beautiful," you know.
Yeah, they're very rare too. Remember when we were growing? There used to be a whole bunch.
Right, I haven't seen them since I was a kid.
No, me neither. I think we used to call them back in Michigan. We call them walking sticks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, they're fabulous to watch. I mean, as one of God's creatures, but it was just weird. Like, what is this praying mantis doing in my front room? And you know, I said, "Oh, it'll be gone by tomorrow," and it was there for weeks.
Wow.
I said, "Okay, you want to hang out there? That's fine, but you know."
Yeah.
A lot of these like the praying mantises and stuff. We don't see much of them over here anymore. So it was shocking. Like, what is this thing doing? And first it was at my door, and then it was in my front room. And I'm like, okay, you're going to stay there. That's fine. Stay there, hang out.
And by the way, Susan, I want to throw something funny at you that we were talking about before. I have as a Capricorn with the melancholy, and we're all like this. This is why we need other people. And I'm talking about this dark night of the soul. Probably too much. As a child, I didn't know I was going through it. That's where knowledge can hurt you. And you said, yeah, but you're going to be on Bay News 9. And I thought, isn't life funny? Because that whole experience is like a dream. Everything we're going through is like a dream to me, and I forgot that was even coming up. I got so caught in the dark night of the soul thing that Sagittarians come into my life to bring that optimism, and what I forgot to see in through all these dark night of the souls is the little miracles of light that keep you going through it. It's like it's never one way or the other. It's just it's some difficult experiences with flickers of light in between,
Right.
Yeah. It is.
You got that praying mantis yet?
What's that?
Did you find the praying mantis?
I sure did, and I opened the book and it went right to that page. Is that eerie or what?
Wow, yeah.
It says praying mantis keynote, power of stillness. It says here. Wow, this is interesting. Mantis has shown up in mythology and lore. In China, a system of the martial arts evolved around the activities of the praying mantis. Kung Fu is based upon the imitation of animals and aspects of nature. One form of it is the praying mantis form. So that's pretty good. Now, it's going to teach you the power of being still. Do you meditate at all, Linda?
No. I've to be honest with you, Susan, I've gotten away from a lot of things. I need to go back to a lot of things. One is the church. But it just gotten away from a lot of things things that I used to do, which I guess maybe that's telling me I need to start again.
Oh, absolutely.
And
that's the feeling I'm getting. And I'm going to send you some information on how to protect yourself while you're meditating, too.
All right, that would be lovely.
Yeah.
Do you levitate, Linda?
No.
Okay, because that would get our ratings up. We're looking for levitators.
I haven't touched any of those aspects in a very long time in my life, probably before I had children. I guess those things are long gone. I have 3 daughters, so it's
children will hold you down.
Exactly. Not much time for me at all.
Yeah.
And
we all have our little past on here, don't we? God keeps us busy.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And this is what the prime minister is telling you to do. It's telling you to be still, and it says we can learn to use the stillness in varying degrees, whether for creativity or for healing. And this is part of what the praying mantis teaches.
Mm-hmm.
It's this ability for stillness that makes the mantis a great hunter and enables it to survive.
Well, that's very funny because I haven't painted since my kids were born either. So that is a lot there, right there. So.
Well, it comes in when we need it too. You were talking about you wished for something, and my whole attitude about all this and what we wish for is exactly what we will get. The miracles don't go away at all. They repeat themselves in different form. There's nothing lost. It's amazing how we live in this dual world, and we all talk in this terms of if I coulda, woulda, shoulda. It shows the finite and logical aspects of our ego that always thinks that we missed out on something and we're separated and it's not going to come back, and it's ridiculous. It's an infinite ocean of creativity, this universe, and it always comes back. It comes back in a different form and frequency based on what we need, for the next experience.
Agree.
And it's all the same.
It's a cycle. It really is. But it's a little scary cycle, but a cycle.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's hard to go through them.
Yeah, because now you actually think to yourself, okay, now I'm supposed to be the grown up now, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, we never know what that means.
No, I tease the children all the time that nobody gave me a book on this stuff, guys. Okay, I'm just winging it. So.
Right.
It's comical, but thank you very much.
Oh,
you're welcome. I'm glad you called us.
Great. Have a nice evening.
You too. Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, and have a happy holiday season.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Wow, that was great. That was just great. I just love when people call in, because it's so interesting to hear the happenings that go on with them too, and nature gives us signs, just like the butterflies and the praying mantis, and and I really can't stress enough what a great book Animal Speak is by Ted Andrews. It's really awesome. It tells you, explains if you see an animal a lot, it's probably more than likely your animal totem, and you can find out what that totem means.
That's a great book.
It is. It is. And what was your animal totem again?
My animal totem is the hawk.
The hawk, yes.
Yeah, I've had experiences with hawks. I went through a what I thought was a devastating relationship at the time. I've had several of those. I must have a letting go, a problem with the letting go. I laugh about it now because I'm really getting better with this. I just went through one that actually seemed much more difficult in the sense that I shook for 2 months, from the fear.
Wow.
But I had to let it go. I had to end the relationship with this individual. I watched the cycles happen through playing cards, numbers and cycles, and predicted that it would end, and then and it did within that cycle, and then I had to go through the very difficult, aspect of experiencing that, But what I lost myself in all that. What were we discussing?
Oh, we were discussing about the animal totem of the hawk. And
the hawk. And so let me go back to what happened. I had this devastating relationship, and back then I didn't handle it well. This last one I handled great. I just went and ran my 1,000 miles, and that's how I dealt with that fear. And then I formed my life by making a lot of flyers, teaching a lot of classes, and now I'm realizing, wow, I need to work on myself. Well, of course, I knew that all along. That's why I ended it. I couldn't get any work done at her house, and of course, in the end, you say it's not meant to be, you know. Then I got to see her again briefly, and that created a real healing because I was pulled away so quickly, and so forth. But when I got up from this depression I went through, this 2 weeks of where you don't want to get up at all and you're angry, and I walked to that same track I was talking about, and I had a hawk almost fly right into my windshield of my car, an old hawk in a field where there's not very many animals. It's pretty barren out there at that track. And 2 days later, I found that hawk dead. It was an old hawk. I'm sure it died of natural causes. And I was also told, I had a friend at the church where I met this woman on Fifth Avenue at the Temple of the Living God, and he gave me this shirt right off of his back. He had another shirt on underneath it, and it had all these beautiful feathers on it. And he said, when you get home, I want you to look for Lady Hawk. And I was living surrounded by water. It's where I wrote my book here, looking out over at the Howard Franklin Bridge. And sure enough, there was an osprey right on the property, sitting on a shower head at the end of the point of the property. And for a while there, I mixed a few drinks when I was a drinker, and changed my name to Riverhawk there for a little while.
Riverhawk, I like that actually.
Yeah. So hawk is definitely my symbol, but as I say that, there are certainly other ones. I see raccoons all the time, wolves. No symbol is more endearing to me than the mysterious cat. The independent cats amaze me.
Oh, they do. They really do. And they're like a gatekeeper for the for the other realms. Really, they see.
No doubt.
Whenever I had cats with me, they would notice spirits at the same time I would. So they definitely, they're definitely a gatekeeper for the other world.
Susan, and this goes into an interesting story on that reminds me of amazing story. On Saturday, I took this long drive to help somebody move, and I did it, Todd. I had a little bit too much coffee, was a little hyper that day. I didn't get my workout. It threw off my routine going there, so I did my normal, get a little bit of high on the coffee and take that long walk and run, followed by the gym, and instead I went to help somebody move, and I could not find the place, didn't have my phone, so I was going to make the best of it. You do things like that, it doesn't do you any good to beat yourself up, nor was I going to come all the way home and not do what I said I was going to do, which was help a friend move. So I came home, and I chatted with the people at the Metaphysical Church across the street. It was the morning, and the Reverend over there said, what happened to Gandalf, your cat? And I said, Gandalf just kind of, went away. And I proceeded to tell this story that I was sleeping in my lazy boy, and I woke up, and I heard, thank you, Todd, thank you so much. And I heard it over and over and over again. I rubbed my eyes. I did what anybody would do that has some morsel of sanity left. I stretched and did the whole routine to make sure that I was awake. And it went on for quite some time. And Then I had a friend come over a couple days later, and he said, a Scorpio friend of mine that has, I have Scorpio rising, so we got a connection there, and he moved back to Spain. You know, he loved to run with the bulls, and he was all about the grapes, cheese, and wine, you know, kind of guy, real suave looking guy, kind of looked like, I'm trying to think of the musician Yanni. He said that he had prostate cancer, and was he going to die? And I said, Gandalf just knocked the ace of spades off of the microwave, and it's floating in a bowl of water. And I kind of teased him. I said, so it doesn't look real good for you. We talked about it, and in the end, he got a clear bill of health. Thank God. But as for Ganda, who knocked the ace of spades into the water, Ganda disappeared a couple days later. Ganda never to be seen again. Ganda left her exit with a thank you very much, was communicating. One of the strangest experiences I've had, stranger than the encounters of the fourth kind that I had, that we'll go into maybe next week, in the sense that I didn't find out till later when I was taking my girlfriend at the time to an acupuncturist and talking to the receptionist there for weeks, fascinated by her music she was playing and her interest in metaphysical spirituality and so forth. And I asked her what she did, and she said she was one of the things she did was like a psychic for animals, or an animal communicator. And I told her my story, and I had no idea. I mean, it makes all sense to me now what she told me, and she said, well, it's really just about tuning into another wavelength, that they do talk to you. It's like, wow, I was ready to check myself in when that happened, because, I mean, if I told you that it sounded like Demi Moore saying goodbye, that would be more clear to how it sounded. It was definitely not coming from human. I mean, what I would think of as being a cat voice. It was human, all right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had a very similar thing happen to me. I happened to be waking up, and I was in between the awake and sleep state, and I had a black cat. Her name was Samantha, and she was the love of my life. She was a sweet cat, and she was just like having a little person in a little fuzzy costume being with you constantly. She had such a little personality. I just loved and adored her. And one night, it was in the nighttime. I was sleeping during the day, I was taking a nap, and in between waking up and sleeping, she was on my chest, and I could just see her moving her mouth, and she said, "Mama, wake up! Mama, wake up!" So I'm like, huh? And then all of a sudden, I feel like this clear veil being lifted up between her and me, and she was meowing. It was like I was getting a glimpse. I mean, it's like we were able to communicate for a couple seconds there. And I woke up and I snapped out of it, and I was just like, oh, what do you want? She wanted me to feed her. So there you go. That's my little story, and it was just another amazing experience. I write, I highly suggest everybody write down their experiences and date them and put a time on them, because, like Todd here is a numerologist, and numbers have a lot of meaning. So I usually I write the dates down, the times, that I woke up from a dream, or the time something happened, an event, and it's just amazing, how numbers are woven into the fabric of our life. That's your quote. So I wanted to, I have the page open where it says Hawks, so I just wanted to read for you your animal totem. It's about visionary power and guardianship. And it says here, Hawks are one of the most intriguing and mystical of the birds of prey. They are the messengers, the protectors, and the visionaries of the air. Hawks and owls have the keenest eyes of all raptors. Hawks vary in size, appearance, and environment. There are so many different species that it is sometimes difficult to tell them apart. So it says here, even when people cannot tell one hawk from another, they can recognize it as a member of the hawk family. All hawks are impressive and sturdy imagination. Their hunting ability, their eyesight, and their powerful flight and other behaviors are dynamic symbols. So there you go. It's all about visionary power and guardianship. And I believe that you're a shaman yourself. And you have that visionary power and guardianship. I know when we're doing the show and everything, and when I'm around you, I do feel safe around you. So I just wanted to let you know that. You have that good energy.
Thank you. I think it fits so well, and I think that we constantly forget about who we are until somebody else reminds us. I mean, this is the Great Awakening. I also, when you were telling me that, I did the hawk in the numbers, and hawk adds up to 7. Most of my numbers being 7, and then the vowel, the A, is a 1, and the rest of my numbers are 1s. So 1 and 7, So my goal is always to channel pure energy. Both those numbers are not divisible. Those are, in fact, Edison was a 1 and a 7. Those are inventor numbers. L. Ron Hubbard, the only one to found a major religion in the 20th century, same numbers. You see this time and time again. George Washington, a 1-7, as a leader and a general. He was an 88, my astrology sign. I don't know what this means, but mine is the all 2-star generals or higher have the same correlations, and it's written in my astrology that I probably was a general, and a violent one at that. And I wouldn't be surprised a bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You have that warrior energy, and
or at least involved in war, right? One or the other.
Absolutely. And well, I can tell you, with my warrior energy, I've always, growing up for me, I was always on the defensive. I was always on the defensive, and that was also about spirits too, because the spirits that I dealt with were not always very nice. When I lived with my uncle, I believe we had lived on an Indian burial mound. He lived on very high land, and it was, in a very high hill, very high land. I had the most frightening experiences living in his house. I mean, his house was absolutely adorable. Had a little outside shed and everything, but yet at night I couldn't even go to sleep. I wouldn't go to sleep until 4 or 5 in the morning. And a lot of times while I was working at the post office at the time, I would have to be at the post office some nights, like all different hours. I'd start at midnight or I'd start at 5 in the morning, and I just couldn't sleep at all. And when I got home, I was so exhausted because, I was so afraid. I had this experience where I woke up. This is when I still felt comfortable leaving the lights off in my bedroom. I no longer do that. I woke up one night, and I was half on the bed, half off the bed. My head was twisted towards the ceiling. And mind you, I'm not a very light girl. At the time I was about 250 pounds. So, it took a lot of force to lift me up like that. And I woke up, and I felt the breath of somebody saying, Sue. And it scared the living daylights out of me. My heart was pumping out of my chest. It felt like it was like literally pumping out of my chest. And I thought to myself, okay, I've had enough of these experiences where, I need to calm myself down. So once I calmed myself down, I felt myself being lowered onto the bed. And when I got myself to a state where I can just sit up in bed, I've seen these 2 shadowy figures, and I really can't describe them because it'll only bring them back. But anyhow, I and I said, what do you want? And that's how I challenged them. I didn't ask them if they were of the light or anything. And they just pretty much looked at each other, and they looked at me, and then they charged after me. But the weird thing is that it turned into like this goldish, greenish, trapezoid-looking thing, and it went for me, and I ducked, and it went into the wall behind me. And to say I was scared would be an understatement. I didn't know what I was dealing with. So about a year later, I met up with some really nice shaman friends, and they did a depossession on me. And sure enough, those two entities were attached to me. And it wasn't like, it was a beautiful experience getting the depossession done. It was nothing like The Exorcist, with the pea soup going over, everywhere. It was beautiful. It was like a Native American tradition where they passed blankets, lit candles, and just did this ceremony to release. And once the lady who did the releasement on me, she got to my feet and she pressed down on my feet, and the entities were released, and they went back to where they were supposed to be. But they were extraterrestrials that were with me through my entire life, and they've been trying to get my attention. They want to go home. They're tired of being attached to me. So, that was a pretty incredible experience. And after the depossession, I had a really bad cold and everything, and it was just my body detoxifying itself from having these energy attachments. So I guess, now that I've kind of born my soul, I know I probably sound like a crazy person to a lot of people, but this really did happen to me. And,
well, you can't. It's hard for us, for most people, to incorporate anybody else's experience unless they've experienced it. And I think that that's the way that it should be. That's valid, until you've experienced something in anything. From my perspective, why should you believe it anyway? The only reason why we would want somebody to believe it is an ego satisfaction, because in reality, nobody will believe anything until they experience it, and if they do, they're in big trouble.
I want people to think I'm crazy. That's why I always throw that in.
Jim Jones had mock trials for the Kool-Aid tasting. What they might not have known completely on a subconscious level is that would become a reality very quickly.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I had another not so nice experience I had was I was living with my uncle, and, my uncle, he moved into this house that this woman had vacated she left all of her clothes and all of her furniture, everything. It was like she still lived there. And, my uncle said, well, she left kind of fast, too. And I'm like thinking to myself, we have a haunted house, maybe. And definitely it was. And a lot of terrible things happened to me there. And my uncle passed away within moving there within a year. He had gotten lung cancer, but he smoked. He did smoke like a fiend, to be fair, and he drank his scotch. So that he did himself in with that. But I think
so it sounded like a kind of a cause and effect.
Yeah, yeah. And he within a year, he was perfectly fine before he moved into that house. And once he moved into that house, he got cancer right away. And, he was gone within a year, and it was heartbreaking. He was my favorite uncle, and he just turned into somebody else. Illness will do that to you, especially when you're dying. It makes people angry. He was very angry all the time, and that wasn't like him. He was just like a second father to me. And it was almost like he was possessed many times. And, and he would just say things, and, one time, I just locked myself in the bathroom because I thought he was going to do physical harm to me. And that's not him at all. And that wasn't him at all, I should say. And, many times.
And anger in itself is a possession. It's because what we're trying to avoid is fear. It creates a a separation and a possession in itself, so that the fear doesn't have to be confronted face on.
Yeah. I agree with that, but I swear to you, I know it was something fueling him. You know, when you drink more than 2 drinks, your aura, your psychic shield, your energy field, the Earth has a magnetic field, and so do we, and it's called the human aura. It's generated by our chakras, our energy transformers. We have 7 of, well, more than 7, but usually people know the 7 chakras that generate the energy around us for psychic protection. And when people have more than 2 drinks, it goes from a few feet to a couple of inches. And guess what, folks? People, I shouldn't say people, well, entities attached to you, you can become possessed. Especially if you're psychic and you drink, you can become possessed. I've seen it happen.
That's interesting information, Susan, because I've definitely seen people drink, and including myself, and that does, the mood changes seem to be like a possession. I'm a little concerned about doing the numerological charts at the ABC beer and wine tasting, because I have a taste for the different bourbons and spices and so forth, and I will make sure that I have nothing but 2 little medicine shots, you know, and maybe a beer, and that's it, you know.
Yeah.
You know, they're all small cups, Susan, you know. But alcohol is extremely dangerous. I still consider it to be, in my mind, there's no doubt that it's the most dangerous drug in the world, period.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, especially the psychic people. You know, like you're like me, you're clairvoyant. You can feel energy. You can see energy. You can do, you know, you can go into other realms. You know, they don't call it spirits for nothing. That's what I'm doing.
You just read my mind there, Susan. You beat me to the punch on that one, and the punch was spiked.
Yes, it was. I like that. Yeah. So I had one thing I want to talk about is when I was also living at my uncle's house. When I was laying in bed one night, I felt 5. I would feel like hear scratches on the wall. I thought maybe, well, we had a squirrel come in the house one time, and I thought, well, maybe it's a squirrel that's stuck in the wall, because that does happen. But it was happening almost every night practically, and you can tell that there was an air of what do you call that? Malevolence there. I was in my bed and I felt 5 fingernails go across my face, and I could have sworn that blood was gushing out. I jumped up and I looked in the mirror and I was almost crying, and I didn't see a drop of blood, no scratch whatsoever. It was definitely a spirit really messing with me, you know. And at the time I was frightened, but I was willing to fight back. So, you know, after that happened, I went to my bed and I just kind of wailed on it, and I said, "Get out of here," you know. And
well,
you know,
Susan, I also think that we need to tell the viewers that, or the talkers in this case, I suppose, or listeners, and that I believe that these experiences that you and I've had, and these negative experiences, are also as all the fulfillment. Instead of looking at anything good and bad, we know that in time, anything can look actually humorous. You know, in this illusion that we've created down here, and what I'm trying to say by that is that these experiences you had are all part of the fulfillment of your gift to learn how to not have those experiences anymore, and also to protect others or figure out how to transmute those energies by assisting others in those fields. Then we need to go to those dark places too. And we're all doing this in some area of our life down here in this gravity-stricken magnet that we're on.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, one thing, I may, call these experiences negative, because they definitely had a place in my life to teach me how to deal with it, and maybe to spread the news to others that they're not alone and that there's things we can do to prevent stuff like that from happening. See, as a clairsentient, and Todd's a clairsentient too, it's like you're kind of like a light at the end of a very dark tunnel for a lot of spirits, both on the lower realms and the upper realms. So if you don't have that filter to filter in the better, the higher realms, a lot of things can happen to you, which is what happened in my case, and the best thing
because you're more as a 55 master, you have chosen to expand your knowledge and your field of experiences and your peripheral vision. That's the higher aspects of that number. And interestingly, in the process of doing that, we have direct contact with some disturbing forces in our evolution to understand how to transmute these energies that are in essentially psychic energies dissipating in part of our evolution and understanding ourselves and our place in the universe, outside of the concepts of good and bad.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm still having a little bit of a struggle with that, with the good and bad, But I absolutely agree with what you say. Absolutely.
Well, and again, when I say that, and I can say that with detachment, there's no good and bad. It's relative to how I'm feeling right now and what I'm experiencing, what we believe, and you can't tell somebody when they're going through something bad, it's not bad. If it still feels bad, then it's bad. I think I think that at the point where you don't call it bad anymore is when you heal it and you understand, you comprehend it, and you understand it. We need these concepts of good and bad or wishing. It's all part of our evolution and our manifestation. As long as we realize that we're infinite and it's always headed towards the same thing, light and nothing but light, and in infinity.
Yeah, and that's a big lesson I'm learning. And I remember we had a previous conversation. It's like, because I tend to overeat. That's an understatement, folks. But I eat for protection, and I question myself, what am I protecting myself from? I believe you just answered and healed me, Todd, with saying that with the good and bad, and something's not being healed, and my experiences with these entities, needs to be healed. I need to reconcile that, because honestly, I've done a lot of work with that, but honestly, I still have more to go. It's like I have trouble trusting spirits because of my experiences. And,
Susan, think about how fascinating it is. Even the external manifestations of these energies that we attract give us an opportunity to heal ourselves internally through the manifestations of these energies, that in the end, it shows your own need to heal. And your own need to heal something that is deep trauma, as somebody that's going to take healing to the next level, is an absolutely necessary product of what you have chosen to perform in this lifetime for the out of the goodness of your heart as a shaman and as a one that's on the cutting tip of consciousness, which is what the one is. And the one will go to those lonely places that other people won't go, and they will climb the mountain, and they will say, I'll go where you're not willing to go, even though it's a little frightening for me too.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Thanks for clarifying that for me, because that's probably where I'm blocked. You know, I've been blocked for a while, and this is what's been holding me. So you actually did a healing on me. So thank you.
Well, what's fascinating, Susan, is you and I have talked about this in the playing cards. Our first aspect together is Pluto. We came together. You know, it's interesting. We're having a radio station, and it's to help other people heal. And because we have this Pluto aspect as our first aspect, you and I are here to both give each other profound insights to help each other get to the next level. And what's really endearing about the relationship I have with you is that you're a 1 and I'm a 7, and they come in contact for warrior-like work. But the way that you and I do it together is in a very kind type of way. We understand that we both have healing to do, and we are mirrors in the sense. But the way that warrior energy is manifested with you and I is through the mirror of kindness, of understanding the experience, and you and I have evolved to a level where we are not disturbed by the imposition of these lessons, because we're only throwing out suggestions, or that's the perception. We're not judging each other, and so you and I are fortunate to have a special type of relationship that a lot of people with warrior energy. I mean, I'm friends with the assassin at the gym, who's a famous wrestler, and God bless him. You know, he just picks up the whole pile of whatever's in there, and if somebody comes, he's a Taurus, so if somebody comes over and they fidget, and when is he going to get off the machine? He just says, "Oh, I'll be off in a minute," and he goes back to talking to me. You know, you got to love him. And Taurus being fixed, and in a world of everybody waiting for everything, like it's, you know, when there's 28,000 other machines, he's going to take his time. You know, he's a powerful individual, but when him and I get together, he's a 1 and I'm a 7, and it's truly warrior energy. The first aspect is Pluto, just like you and I, but the difference is that we both talk in terms of, you know, if I told him that I, lifted up a car and you know, threw it off of a curb or something in a panic because I was in a bad situation, his is he tore the whole door off, a locked door off of a burning van. And if you saw him, you first you'd laugh because he's got a great sense of humor, and then second you'd say there's nothing funny about that because he would do it. I mean, he's the guy that they put on the plane to watch somebody behind their head when there's a problem on a plane. He's had that happen before. He's that big, you know. He's a monster, and proportionate, you know, like a Viking. Like, you know, he at 320 pounds, you're supposed to be heavy, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
This guy's not heavy, so. But anyway, he's interesting to talk to. God made big people usually very self-assured and kind because they don't feel a whole lot of threats, you know.
Yeah. Well, we have about 1 minute and 36 seconds left. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Which is meaningful.
Yeah. So I just wanted to thank everybody that called in, and we definitely want to let you guys know you're not alone. You want to call us and talk to us, we'll be here. We're going to be here next Monday night, and we'll talk about all the same things. So, you know, if you'd like to share your experiences, we're here. It's a loving, safe environment, and, you know, I'm here with Numerologist Todd Patrick Curran, and he has a book, Mysteries of Numerology, and it's on Amazon.com. I actually posted that book along with the information on this episode. So.
And I will also be on Bay News 9 on Wednesday from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. talking about a 12-year-old that turns 12 on 12/12/12. So look for the turquoise shirt.
Absolutely.
And next week it's only going to get deeper. That's
right. We're going to get into more stuff. So come join us and come share with us going to have a loving environment, loving, safe environment. So come share with us. We want to hear from you.
Love and light to all of you, and know that goodness always wins out, and love is all there is. Have a wonderful night.
Have a wonderful night, everybody.
God bless.
God bless. Yay, we did it.